What's going on, everybody? So I'm back at the house, and those of you that watched the last shed makeover video, I'd mentioned that I didn't have a whole lot going on at the house with the projects. Well, that probably wasn't a good thing to say, because now you know what's going to happen. Snowball, I got tons of them now. This next project we're going to work on, the wife says it's important. I don't think so, but you know what they say, happy wife, happy life. So let's get to it. Last minute on this cycle has seriously, no lie, been like 10 minutes. So it just ended and it never even spun. So we're gonna have to replace the washing machine, and I know you probably think that's not a big deal, but the problem is that they don't make washing machines this size anymore. So a new washing machine is not going to fit in here. And that is where the problem is. So this is what we're gonna do to fix it. Okay, so my original thought was just take the countertop and raise it up. So Willie had put these cabinets in, and I thought they were just regular cabinets, because I was going to raise the countertop up and then just raise the cabinets up and put a bigger kick plate. But the problem is that these are not just regular cabinets. They are built-in cabinets. And like I said, there's tons of nails, Phillips screws, glue holding everything together. So I know trying to pull this apart is going to be a complete nightmare. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut it right there. I'm going to cut it right here. I'm going to eliminate this section of countertop. I'm just going to level up from right here, make a line, chuck a line, and then just cut that out. So I'm going to take the refrigerator. I'm going to take the washing machine out first. Give that out, move the dryer over a little bit to give me a little bit more room so I don't cut it with my saw. Cut those out and then see what we got. So I figured before I cut it, because once I cut it, it's permanent, I would consult the boss. Hi, babe.
Hi.
So, you sure you're good with me just cutting this section out?
I think so.
Okay. I'm going to cut it.
Go for it.
Okay. Change of plans. Why don't I just, I guess it was Stephanie's idea, why don't I just fur this up a little bit and then put a new piece across the top? Would be super easy. Then if I just fur this up a little bit, I can just put a piece of trim across the front to cover that, and then that would be way easier. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get some thick plywood, like maybe some Advantech or something like that, and I'm just going to bridge across this with some nice like 5/8 plywood. And then I'll figure out some type of material to put on top of that to make it finished, to make it look nice. And that way we'll have our shelf back across the top. So our new washing machine is 38.63, which I don't know, I guess that's about 5/8, 38 and 5/8. So right now I'm at, here it's 37 3/4, over here it's about 37 7/8. So I'm thinking if I just fur this up with a 2x4, that'll bring me to 39 and a half short. So if I do that, just fur it up and then put the plywood across that, that'll definitely give me enough space underneath for the washer and dryer. And then what I'll do is whatever material I put on top, I'll just make a face plate here to cover that. That way it'll still look good. So every day on the job site, I always grab some extra material, some crap laying around. So that's what I'm going to use to fur up this plywood on these cabinets. It doesn't have to be solid material because the plywood will bridge over the top of it. So I can just use some pieces. So I'm just going to nail these down and then just put the plywood right across those. I did have to put a couple pieces across the back there just to add some extra support. Alright, so I got my scab pieces in here. Again, they're just scrap just to bridge the zip board over the top of this. One thing I do have to do too is I have this access panel that goes here for the water supply. So I'm going to have to, once I get the sheet up here, I'll kind of mark out for that and I'll cut that out. I'll get that piece in and then I'll go ahead and figure out what I'm going to do for my final material over the top of that. So I got the zip board cut down to size, but because of the window trim, she just wasn't going to fit in there. So I took an inch off each end just to play it safe, and it's not going to matter because I'm going to have the other board on top to cover that. And then once I knew she was going to fit, I went ahead and measured for my water supply lines, and I got that cut out as well so that the access panel would fit in there. And then she went in and looked great. Got my sub-system roof sheathing on, and that's pretty sturdy, man. And now I'm going to put something on top of it. And if you all that know me can probably guess what that's going to be. But let's go out and see what we got. Pallet wood. Alright, so I got the pallet wood ripped down. I love pallet wood, but what a pain in the you-know-what to pull it apart. Plus that blade I had in that saw's all sucked. So I should have got a new blade, but I didn't feel like going to the store. So I got this done. What I'm going to do now is, one thing I like to do with the plywood, if you're putting on pallet wood, is paint it black. Because everybody knows this pallet wood's going to have holes in it. It's going to have some cracks in it. So sometimes you can see through it. So if you paint your whatever you're using, black, that way it won't be so noticeable if your pallet wood doesn't cover all the way. So I'm going to paint that thing black, get all this material up there, and start throwing it in. To stop that time lapse and go to the store because I realized that I was using 18 gauge nails, not 16 gauge nails in my 16 gauge Dewalt nailer. So they weren't working very well. So I had to go to the store and get new ones. So let's try this again. That's going to wrap it up for today. I think it looks pretty good. It's a pretty good start. I got the top on. Just got a few more things. I need to put some face trim on it, some trim across the back, put the window trim back on, sand it down nice and flat. It's not totally flat right now, so I'll sand it down as best I can. Probably put a coat of poly or something on it just to preserve it, and then she'll be looking beautiful. Okay, well, Lowe's dropped off our washing machine, and it looks nice, so we'll get it unboxed, and we also have to get those 4 bolts out of the back there. They ship them with some shipping bolts for stabilization. We'll put our drain pipe on. We'll get this thing welded inside, and let's hope she fits, because if it doesn't fit, we're going to have a huge problem. So we'll get it hooked up, get the drain pipe hooked up, slide that thing in, and see how she looks. Man, she fits nice, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does look good. But are we gonna address the elephant in the room here?
What's that? One of these things doesn't look like the other. Is that what you're talking about?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I know you wanted matching washer and dryer, but this dryer we just bought not too long ago, and it's like $900 for a new one. So I know it's not the right height. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build a little platform to slide underneath the dryer to pick the dryer up to this height. So at least they'll be the same height and they'll look kind of the same. It's Friday and it's time to finish up this laundry room makeover. Like I mentioned, I think in the other videos, there's just a few things I gotta do to get buttoned up. Let's just go over them real quick again. So I need to make some trim to cover up the edges. Finish that up. I need to take my window trim and get that ripped down, you know, so that it fits in there nice and looks good. I need to make some face trim here to cover up this edge and this zip board so that you don't see that. That's not looking great. Get a little face trim on that. And then the last thing I need to do also is I need to cover up this. This is where the cabinet stuck out a little bit, the old countertop. So I mighty-fined that up and now it looks like that. So I think what I'll do is just make like a small like 1/4 inch veneer that covers that. I'll paint it the same color as the cabinet. It'll blend in nice and look awesome. Lastly, I'm going to take my Dewalt sander with probably some 80 grit on it and get this thing sanded down nice. It's not going to go flat, man. It's impossible. But it's not we're not eating off of it. It doesn't need to be dead flat. So I'll just get this sand down looking good. And then when I was at Jamie's, I found this laying in his shop. He said he's never used it, doesn't know even where it came from. So I'm just going to use this Hellman's polyurethane and go ahead and put a couple coats over that just to preserve it and make it look nice. Okay, all the trim is done, and I got one coat of that poly on there. One thing I noticed too is that I didn't complain one time about putting that poly on. I must be getting like used to painting, so I just don't complain about it anymore. As much as I hate it, still doesn't matter. Anyways, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna wait for that to dry. I'm gonna put a couple more coats of poly on there, but I did forget one huge thing, and I'm glad I caught it because the wife would have killed me. The elephant in the room. So that needs to be that height. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some measurements and I'm going to build a base underneath that to prop that up. I think I got some junk out in the garage. I'll probably use some leftover that zip board and get that thing up in the air and get it flush with the other one so it doesn't look so obvious that it's not a matching set. Voila, there she is. There's my platform. Again, just use some old zip board and I put a little face on it. With some pallet wood. I don't think you're going to see the face, but if you do, I don't want it to look like you know what. And so I'm just going to paint it up white. That way it'll be all done. I got my box made, and now I have to get it underneath the dryer. I don't want to take the dryer out all the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to slide it out, tilt her up, put this underneath it, put it back down, and slide her back in. All right, so I just noticed that there's a piece of freaking wood sticking out. I think it's a shim right there that I'm hitting. So let me get that cut off and then we'll slide her in. Let's try that again. Okay, I got the washer and dryer at the same height now. So let me go ahead and put a couple more coats of poly on top of this and she'll be all finished up. I don't know about you, but I think it looks pretty good. So thanks for washing clothes with me today, and we'll see you on the next one.